We'll be using the TapeTech and Asgard Corner Finisher Blade Change Kit. The number is 502F4. And again, this is for the TapeTech Corner Finisher and Asgard Angle Heads. This one in particular is for the 3-inch. We have the whole range here. Certainly, TapeTech has a 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Asgard has a 2.5, 3, and a 3.5 corner finisher, angle heads on the Asgard side. But the kits that are labeled with both names will fit universally on both tools. TapeTech has a 2-inch kit that is unique because Asgard doesn't offer a 2-inch. But let's open up the kit, show you how this works. We have several, there's some instructions in here as well. This requires a flat surface if you have as much as possible. On a job site, you can do this, but it could be a little bit difficult if you don't have a totally flat surface, but bear that in mind. So inside this little kit, we have a couple things here. We have a little tool a hex wrench to use to loosen and tighten everything. We have a couple of skids, basically, and we have 2 blades. So we have blades on the top and the skids for the sides here. And we have all these little screws, these little set screws in here that you can, if your older one they're worn, you can replace it with new ones, or you can use your ones that you have on your corner finisher or angle head. So I'm going to use this is a corner finisher from the TapeTech side. Corner finisher, just to walk around it, has frames on the outside. These are the parts that flex, that move. These are called frames. The casting is this middle part right here. The center clips are right here. These are clips that go right into the corner. Of course, we have wheels. On the back of the tool, we have these adjustments to the springs because we have 2 springs. You can adjust it down for 2 or 1, just to walk around the tool that way. On the top, again, to show you kind of what this part right here, this piece right here is called the blade, and then on the side, these are called skids. And what they usually do, they'll wear out right where your fingers would intersect right here, and they have to be adjusted or replaced at some point. What I do first, and again, we have the hex tool here, is we'll just loosen these. You don't need to remove them, just loosen these hex little fittings here, little fasteners. Just loosen them up. And then just loosen each side here. And we have 3 on each side, so 6 total on the blade. Just kind of loosen those up. You need to loosen them enough because when we replace the blade, these need to be flush. You know, they don't need to be sticking down into the casting. If they come out like that, just stick it back on there, and that's to show that you don't need to remove them. Just kind of thread them in a little bit. And again, this is out. This one's out enough. Just a little bit more on these. Should be good to go. That one's still tight. Okay, so on the sides, we'll come back to these in a minute. This holds the blades in place. On the sides, we have basically the same. These 2, you just loosen these and just kind of back them out a little bit. If they have joint compound, or if they're dirty or dried in there, you can soak these, spray some oil on there or something to loosen those up if they're tight. So we have this side, and now we're going to go to this side as well. There's a left and right side for each of these skids. Let's loosen this up a little bit more. Okay, now at this point, we should be able to move out or remove the blade. And you can kind of move them out this way. You can reach in behind them, however you can get underneath there. I'm using a pointed awl, just a pointed tool, and you can remove the blade at this point. We can set that aside. I can do the same with this side, replace it that way. And on the skid, the same way. And again, this one's had some joint compound in it, so we're going to need to clean those out as well. So before we go any further, we want to make sure that we clean out this area really well right here. You can see there's joint compound in there. We want a nice smooth surface in there. And if you feel while you're using this is a pointed tool and all, we're moving along this edge. If you feel like the little set screw is still pushing down, move that, thread that out a little bit because the new blade's going to need to fit in there smooth. Again, the new skid and blade. And again, we got quite a bit of material here. Let's clean that out. Clean this out as well right here. And then down the skid as well here. We'll blow that out. Still have a little bit in there. Okay. Now is where it gets a little tricky, because again, we have to install this as best we can, because it's a pretty tool needs to be adjusted. And you want a nice clean finish when you're running your corner finisher. You can install the top blades at the same time, or you can do one at a time. And what I do is just kind of slide it in, and you have this little, actually you have a 45 at the top, and on the side, the rounded part here. This rounded part will be on the outside, and the 45 obviously is at the top of the apex where it meets. So you can put this in. You just don't want the blade to be sticking out on this end down here. So if you have it fairly close here, got a little bit of joint compound in there, you can kind of feel like down here it's flush. What you can do at this point is tighten it up. Don't tighten it all the way. Just kind of snug it up so that the blade will stay in place. Just so we have something to adjust. You'll just feel the thread just kind of touch it. You don't want, again, we're not going to tighten it up. Okay, and put it in the other side. Place it in here. Again, we don't want this sticking out here. So if it's sticking out, you know, that like you can see here, I'm going to have to go back and loosen this side a little bit and push it back. So that these will kind of fit in. That's why a lot of people like to do them both at the same time. Put them both in. So once you get those set where you like them, again, just you have this little point at the top. Just snug these up again. Snug this side up. Just tighten it a little bit. Make sure we're good here. We're good here. Yep. Tighten this. A little bit more. Okay, as far as the skids go, the skids have a rounded part and a flat part, and basically you can, you know, the blade itself has, you can put it in either way. It's not a top or a bottom. You can just slide this in until it touches the bottom of the blade here, and again, we're just going to slightly tighten this up. We're not going to tighten it up very tight, just making sure that this bottom is flush. Repeat the same over here. Sometimes that joint compound is still in there, that old dry compound. You got to be careful of that. So these are just snugged up. So basically what we have at this point is we have the blades and the skids installed. Now, to adjust these, again, I don't have a totally flat surface. What you'll need to do is Tape Tech has some feeler gauges, and in the Tape Tech repair kit, you'll see where it'll be labeled CF and FB. One means finisher box, one means corner finisher. For Asgard, that'll be an angle head. And what you want to do is slide these on a flat surface. And again, this is not a totally flat surface. And on the corner finisher one, this should slide. It should move in and out where the skid and the blade interact. Now this one is hitting on there. Again, this surface isn't totally flat, so, but this shouldn't hit. It should slide right through like so. Okay, should be just a little bit of room, and this shouldn't rock. So again, this isn't a totally flat surface here, but it shouldn't rock at all on that way. It should just move like so. Now, once you get it where you like it and you feel like it's tight, you can tighten these up. And what I always like to do is I like to pull this together and hold it. Some people will take a rubber band and tighten that up. And then you can tighten these screws here. And you can tighten them, kind of working your way back. And then kind of tighten this one here as well. Double check that one. Yep. Now, at the top here and where it meets, so you got your skids and your blade meeting right here, there should be this little you know, your fingernail should catch on that edge right there. You should be able, that's where we're sliding it under. If they're not meeting, you're going to have to adjust that. And how you adjust that, there's an adjuster screw right here. So if you look at the back, there's one on the right and one on the left, and you can put your wrench, you can basically kick out your blade. It'll turn until the blade goes out, or you can push it in. And that all depends on the flat surface and using these gauges, so that this blade can be either sticking out here so that it leaves a nice clean surface when it wipes out. You can do the same on this side as well. And again, it's just an adjuster bar right here. You can just turn a little bit, or, you know, usually a quarter turn usually is enough to adjust it out, or push it in. If you need to push it in, you have to kind of twist it backwards and push in on the blade. But that's how you install the blading kit on the Tape-Tech and Asgard corner finishers. Again, the flat surface is important, the feeler gauge and the wrench. You may need to adjust this once you start running it, but one more point that you need to do as well is a piece of sandpaper. You'll need to take a piece of sandpaper, usually right here with the very top part. You need to take this and just kind of rub that down, because these are sharp at the front, and you just need to burr them, take the burr off of them. Just a couple times. You don't need to really sand on it too much, and that'll take that off for you.